Assalamu alaikum.
Where did this clip find you? I'm lucky you've come across it. I'd imagine from many countries, different cities, and distant lands. To all of you, so many, so diverse, and so far to everyone, wherever you may be, I am Jamal Al Mulla from the UAE. This is Gulf Uncensored. During the tripartite aggression on Egypt, back in 1956, when the Egyptian radio headquarters were hit and its broadcast was cut off, on the day of the attack, the announcer on Syrian radio, Abdul Hadi Bakar, came out with his famous phrase of solidarity, "From Damascus, this is Cairo." Today, all 6 Gulf states are facing blatant Iranian aggression, and all 6 countries possess media outlets. May God never silence their voices nor let their efforts fail. I haven't come here to replace anyone, but from my place here in the UAE, I'll try to appear at the end of each day to gather the dimensions of Gulf affairs and comment on them.
I am Jamal Al Mulla
from the UAE. This is the Gulf Uncensored. I borrowed the phrase and recalled history, but where is the tripartite aggression? We are 6 countries and Iran is 1 country. No, we are 1 entity and Iran is 3. Iran, its external arms, and its 5th column. So, yes, it was indeed 1 Gulf entity that was facing a coordinated tripartite aggression from multiple sides. History, as we can see, really hasn't changed much at all over the years. And once again, welcome ladies and gentlemen every night from the UAE. This is Gulf Uncensored. It's always said in wars, no voice rises above the battle. Sometimes this is said without there even being a battle. And a word of advice: if you hear this in any country, then run for your life. Someone has lost something important and wants to cover up their loss and failure. We say, no voice ever rises above the voice of life itself, even during the fiercest and most intense of battles. We're talking about the very height of World War II. Churchill stood up and said, "If the judiciary is well, Britain is well." But for the Gulf in the midst of aggression, how can we say that the Gulf is well? From which gateway does the answer come? First, let's agree we are not in a state of war, but in a state of legitimate self-defense. And we haven't gone beyond that. But really, how can we honestly say that the Gulf is truly well? Now, excuse me, I'll say it and leave it to God. And this is a very sensitive point. Throughout the history of the Gulf, we, as Gulf people, lacked high confidence in facing an aggression from the other side of the Gulf. True, we have confidence in our ability to make sacrifices and give our all, and history bears witness to this. But our sacrifice is enough for protection, enough to say the Gulf is fine? Historically, from a popular perspective, this point was a matter of debate, and that's a reality we can't escape. When I address you with "From the Emirates, here is the Gulf," these 2 names are dear to me, dearer than my own name. I won't use them as a banner to lie under, no matter what. Even in war, you shouldn't lie to your people. If this is a flaw in times of peace, it's a crime during aggression. There was always popular and international doubt about the ability of Gulf states to face an aggression from the other side. Now there are 2 facts. Over 11 days, set aside all army sectors in any Gulf country and focus on the performance of the air defense sector. Leave the army sectors, and with them, leave emotion and national bias. Honestly, I ask you, as a Gulf citizen, answer to yourself. Has your confidence in your country's ability to repel aggression increased or decreased? Did a 94% success rate in interception raise your confidence or diminish it? If the citizen's confidence is well, then the Gulf is well. Sacrifice is an emotional act, but confidence isn't. Confidence is a mental process. That's how I see it. Follow me. For 47 years, the Iranian regime has built nothing but armies. It collected nothing but weapons and prepared nothing but ammunition, readying to prevent death from coming or facilitating its arrival to others. And for a similar 47 years, the Gulf has been building life in every direction. Health, education, investment, tourism, industry, agriculture, everything. And these days, before our eyes, the one who built armies is starting to lose them, while the one who built life didn't forget to protect it and continues to do so. That's why Sheikh Abdullah bin Zayed's tweet took on great dimensions when he quoted a simple verse. He who didn't build his house of piety before hardship won't find refuge when the waves crash. If this were translated into Persian and sent to Tehran, many things might change, and God is predominant over his affair. Of course, the question of the level of trust, the citizens' trust, it will remain an open question until the end of this aggression. Trust is built on actions, and actions are judged by their endings, as the Prophet, peace be upon him, said. And on this occasion, I'd like to confidently wish you a happy Eid. Why are you looking at me like that? You'll say it's too early, Jamal, we're still in Ramadan. Bear with me, just bear with me a moment and watch the first part of this clip.
العالم شايفها وكأنها أزمة وكأنها مشكلة. أعطينا شو رأيتك أنت للوضع؟
أول شيء صبا يعني مبروك عليك العيدين وعلى الجميع إن شاء الله. أنا جيتني اليوم بس كنت مار في هذه الجهة وعرفتكم أنكم هنا فمريت عليكم بس اللي أعيد فيكم.
The clip was at the height of the global financial crisis in 2008. It was called the global financial crisis. But reality portrayed it as if it were Dubai's crisis alone.
Many ran headlines about the end of Dubai, the fall of Dubai, the collapse of Dubai, global press, international channels. Director of some institute, head of a research center somewhere, everyone was swearing and insisting Dubai is finished. But in the midst of all this, Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid comes out and says, Happy Eid to you with a smile. And as Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid was asked that year, I'm talking about 2008, meaning 18 years ago, what is your response to them? Honestly, listen to the legendary response in the second part of this clip.
سؤالك جوابي بس ما تخبرين حد هذول ما يفهمون شيء. إذا كانت يعني أنا مثل ما قلت قبل الشجرة المثمرة التي ترمى فكيف إذا كانت هناك 7 بساتين مثمرات. أنا بقول لك كلمتين بس نحن أقوياء ومثابرين وللموج لما يثابر صبر عجيب عجيب يا ذا البعيد القريب.
Sheikh Mohammed was very tough but blunt and confident. He said it straight, they don't understand. And he was smiling. Sheikh Mohammed was remembering the difficulties that had passed during the first Gulf War and the second Gulf War, and the collapse of oil prices in the 90s, and the collapse of the Gulf financial markets in 2006. Dubai wasn't built by calm conditions as much as it was built by fierce storms. Its ability to confront, endure, and resist, not just its ability to innovate, renew, and create. Economics has its own language. That's why resilience and resistance are called by economists hedging policies. When the 2008 crisis hit, Sheikh Mohammed's smile was one of confidence, rooted in history first, and the strength of hedging policies. Secondly, but Jamal, what do hedging policies mean? I'll tell you, don't go to Adam Smith and don't even look towards Milton Friedman. Check Sheikh Abdullah bin Zayed's account on X. The same tweet I mentioned 2 minutes ago. He who builds no house of piety before hardship or on the shores, it won't last. That, in short, is hedging policies. But after 2008, what happened? Dubai persevered despite the COVID pandemic, and Dubai will persevere despite the current aggression. And now, the same group, since the start of the aggression, repeats the same talk and predicts the same fate for Dubai and the Emirates. And the whole Gulf, all of it, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Qatar, Bahrain, Oman, everyone. The Emirati model is over. The vision of Saudi Arabia has fallen. The Kuwaiti funds are bankrupt. The Bahraini, Qatari, and Omani projects are finished. And we only have the same answer. I like Sheikh Mohammed's response. Happy Eid to you all. Of course, I have a video tomorrow dedicated entirely to the details of the Gulf economy amidst the aggression. If you have money, follow me tomorrow and I'll give you the news. The Bedouins say, he who takes half is safe, and I'm satisfied with half. I can't take all your time, just 2 more minutes, no more. And it's not just about the Gulf as much as it's about the whole world. Yesterday, the most repeated name on the sidelines of events was the Strait of Hormuz. President Trump mentioned it in his speech, the Iranians. Mentioned it! Today, a Chinese delegation arrives for the same reason. But what's the real story behind this name? The Strait of Hormuz? The passage that, if left closed, opens a door to defeat. It will never be closed. There is a very dangerous misconception in Washington and indeed in all Western capitals that the Hormuz crisis is primarily about oil. But that's not the case. Oil is just the surface. What lies beneath is something far more important. A test of the international system's viability. Every day that the Strait of Hormuz remains hostage to Tehran's threats without a decisive response is not a day for strategic patience, but a day for strategic erosion. Iran doesn't need to close the strait to achieve victory. It's enough for the world to fail to keep it open. This failure, the apparent and continuous lack of response, is the victory that Tehran seeks. It sends a message to every rogue regime on the face of the earth that coercion works and that a state can tighten its grip on the global economy, and that the world's greatest power will think and act, but in the end, it won't take any decisive step. This is not a regional dispute between the Gulf states and their neighbor, but a global test. The economies of Europe, Asia, and the developing world breathe through this narrow waterway, whether you admit it or not. When the Strait of Hormuz is shaken, factories in Stuttgart close, energy prices in Tokyo rise, and inflation spreads to economies that don't even know the location of the strait on the map. Washington must realize what Tehran already knows. The vacuum is the weapon, not the missiles, nor the speedboats, nor the resonant speeches, but the vacuum itself. The longer it lasts, the louder its voice, and its message is, the world can be blackmailed and no one will stop it. If this message is allowed to continue, it's not just a shipping lane that will be lost, but the credibility of deterrence itself. And once credibility is lost, no aircraft carrier group or diplomatic statement will be able to restore it. Whoever confuses the world's patience with its fear won't realize the difference until it's too late. This was a quick chat, and the serious work begins tomorrow, God willing. Jamal Al Mulla from the UAE, Gulf Uncensored.